Welcome back to the Echo Bench podcast, everyone. I'm Margaret Foster, and as always, I'm joined by my brilliant co-host, James Thornton. Today, we're diving into the promise and pitfalls of cryptocurrency. James, I gotta say, this is a topic that gets people fired up.
Absolutely, Margaret. Crypto's one of those things that seems to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time, if you know what I mean. There's so much hype, but also a lot of real-world impact, especially when it comes to financial inclusion. I mean, the idea that you can access financial services without a traditional bank, it's quite revolutionary, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not just theory. Decentralized networks are actually helping people in places where the banking system is, well, either broken or just doesn't exist. I had a client from Venezuela, this was a couple years ago, who used cryptocurrency to get around hyperinflation. She couldn't rely on the Bolivar, so she started using stablecoins like USDC to send and receive money from family abroad. It was honestly a lifeline for her.
That's a powerful example. And it's not just Venezuela, is it? There are regions across Africa and Southeast Asia where people are leapfrogging traditional banking entirely. The unbanked suddenly have access to global markets just with a smartphone and an internet connection. It's democratizing in a way.
Exactly. And stablecoins in particular are making cross-border payments so much easier. I mean, sending money internationally used to be expensive and slow. Now, with something like USDC, you can send remittances almost instantly, and the fees are a fraction of what you'd pay with, say, Western Union. It's not perfect, but it's a huge step forward.
Let's not forget the efficiency side. Blockchain technology itself, beyond just the coins, offers transparency and security. Transactions are recorded publicly, so there's less room for, funny business. But I suppose that's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll get to the challenges in a bit, but I just want to say, for people who've been left out of the financial system, crypto can be a game changer. It's not a silver bullet, but it's opened doors that were closed for a long time.
Of course, with every promise comes a pitfall. And volatility is probably the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, Bitcoin lost, 20% of its value in a single week back in May 2022? That's not exactly the kind of stability you want for your grocery money.
No, not at all. I always tell clients, if you can't stomach the swings, crypto might not be for you. It's not just Bitcoin either. Most cryptocurrencies are, they're all over the place. That makes it tough for people to use them as a regular currency, you know?
And then there's the regulatory side. Different countries are taking wildly different approaches. The US is still figuring out how to regulate crypto. Sometimes it feels like they're making it up as they go along. Meanwhile, China has gone the other way, with outright bans on most crypto activities. It's a bit of a regulatory Wild West.
Yeah, and that uncertainty makes it hard for businesses and individuals to know what they can and can't do. I mean, I get questions all the time. Is this legal? Am I going to get in trouble for using crypto? And honestly, sometimes I have to say, it depends on where you are and what you're doing.
I remember a debate I had with some regulators a while back, this was in London actually, about the risks of pseudonymous transactions. They were worried about money laundering, and to be fair, it's a legitimate concern. If you can't trace who's behind a transaction, it opens the door to all sorts of nefarious activity. But at the same time, too much regulation could stifle innovation. It's a tricky balance.
And then there's scalability. People don't always realize that Bitcoin, for example, can only handle about 7 transactions per second. Compare that to Visa, which does thousands. So when demand spikes, the network gets clogged, fees go up, and transactions slow down. It's not exactly ready for prime time, at least not yet.
Right, and that's before we even get to the environmental impact, which is a whole other can of worms. But maybe we should talk about where blockchain is headed beyond just currency.
Yeah, let's do that. Because blockchain isn't just about money. It's being used in supply chains, for example, to track goods from origin to store shelf. Smart contracts are automating all sorts of agreements. No middleman needed. It's kind of like the internet in the early days. We don't even know all the ways it'll be used yet.
And then you've got central banks getting in on the action. China's digital yuan is probably the most high-profile example. It's a central bank digital currency, or CBDC, and it's designed to combine the efficiency of digital payments with the stability of state backing. It's a bit of a hybrid, digital, but still under government control.
Yeah, and I think that's where things might be headed. Instead of crypto replacing traditional money, we might see more of these digital currencies issued by central banks. They can offer the benefits of digital payments, but with oversight and hopefully more stability.
But we can't ignore the environmental side. Proof-of-work mining, like what Bitcoin uses, is incredibly energy-intensive. There are estimates, I'm not sure of the exact number, but it's comparable to the energy use of some small countries. That's a big problem if we're thinking about sustainability.
Yeah, I actually did some research on Bitcoin's carbon footprint a while back, and honestly, it was eye-opening. The amount of electricity used is staggering. There are newer systems like proof of stake that use less energy, but it's still something the industry needs to address if it's going to be part of a greener future.
So to sum up, crypto's got a lot of promise, but also a fair few pitfalls. It's not going to replace traditional money overnight, but it is changing the way we think about finance. And with things like CBDCs and new blockchain applications, the story's far from over.
Absolutely. We'll keep following these developments, and I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about in future episodes. James, always a pleasure.
Likewise, Margaret. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll see you next time on Echo Bench.